Well, good morning, good evening, wherever you are on the earth. Thanks for being here. It's me, Ari Dosset. You call me Rashid. I'm an anthropologist and sociologist. Before I continue, as I always do, can you please confirm to me if you can hear me clearly, please? Thank you very much. Can you confirm this in the live chat, please? Thank you. Thank you. Confirm in the live chat for me if you can hear me clearly. If not, I'll need to adjust the sound settings. Let me know from the start now, please. Thank you very much. I see Q is here, Nadine Johnson's here, Maria's here. How are you all? Thanks for being here. All the rest is here. Please let me know in the live chats too. Please participate. Thank you very much. All right. Can the rest hear me clearly too? Maria can hear me clearly. Yes. Sherry's here too. Hi, Sherry. All right. I'm going to demonstrate something to you before we continue into the hardcore material now. And okay, this is my desk. It's my other computer over here, so don't worry about that. I'm going to show some tiny rubber band over here. By the way, you can all see the the webcam, right? With my hand moving. You can all see it. Confirm that, please. I'm doing this. I want to make sure that StreamYard is functioning properly and not malfunctioning. I think everything's working fine. You can see me with the tiny rubber band in my hands, correct? Okay. Now, what what I'm about to do now is the following. This hand of mine over here represents you. This is you wanting to move forward, want to expand, being wealthy, prosperous, all of that. This hand here represents people of your past or society in general. Okay? So this is how it goes. You want to move, you have a tie, let's say, to your native town. Okay? Let's say you're from Boston, in the United States. And you're from Boston, United States, and it's not common over there that people are financially well off. Okay, let's say that's the case. Most people are working 2 or 3 jobs, 9 to 5. You get the deal, and you wanna go up. No, let me show this. Hold on, let me move this a little bit so you can see correctly what I want to illustrate. This is Boston, or the place for your birth. This is you. Okay, you want to move up. You see what's happening? You want to move up. Say, yes, I want to start my own business. Yes, I have an abundance mindset. Yeah, but oh, hold on. You pulled back. You pulled back. This connection over here holds you back. What is this connection? This is the negative. This is a dark electric charge against you, the Earth's atmosphere. You move away, let's say from Boston to New York. Suddenly, it's very tense now. And let's say now you move to Los Angeles, completely far away. What happens? That's going to hurt. But it's not going to hurt towards you. It's going to hurt towards the people invested to hold you back. Or let's give another example. Let's say you just publish your first YouTube video. And then then first people say, hey, congratulations with your new YouTube video. Then you publish more videos, more videos, more videos, more videos. So you're going up. It gets more tenser. It gets more, the atmosphere gets tensed. People think, who do you think you are making so many videos? Oh, people get to murmur about you, all that. They become a weight onto you. If you continue, but it's going back. Now, let's say you have a bunch of those toxic bonds that are holding you back. And all of them now are a very tight string onto you. This society over here, you want to move ahead, and oh my goodness, you see what I mean? It's very, very hard to let go of. And the more you go up, the more they resist. Eventually, if you keep going, it's going to be a bunch of banks hitting back at society. And that's why society doesn't want you to have knowledge like the knowledge I'm sharing over here. Because once you understand everything I'm teaching you over here and you begin to practice it, you'll have a very big effect in your environment, an effect people don't want to have. Okay? So, let me continue. Let me ask you the following question. Is illustration I made with the rubber bands clear to you? Are there any questions about it? Let me know now, please. Is the demonstration made with the rubber bands clear onto you? Or should I elaborate on it? I'm going to elaborate on it anyway, but is the comparable I made clear onto you? Let me know. Let me know, please. Okay. Let me close down the webcam. It comes down to this. Human beings don't have power. We only have a natural leverage. And sometimes we can have an artificial leverage. Now, for example, you have a 12-year-old, and then you have a 5-year-old. The 12-year-old has a leverage over the 5-year-old, not only in body size, in body weight, but also intellectually and emotionally. Okay, so that's obvious. But then you have someone who's 20 years old, and the one with 20 years who's 20 years old has leverage over both the 5-year-olds and the 12-year-olds. Let's say you have two 20-year-olds, but one is a bodybuilder, the other not. The one is a bodybuilder has a leverage when it comes to doing certain jobs. Okay? Or maybe let's say you have two guys who are 20 years old. One is a bodybuilder. He's good in working in construction in the harbor, but the other guy is in IT. So when it comes to things like IT, the IT guy has a leverage. When it comes to actually daily labor, the guy who's a bodybuilder has a leverage. So a leverage is an advantage you have compared to someone else. Okay? Parents have leverage over their children by default. And here's what you need to understand. Nobody was born with a leverage. All of us were born as tiny babies crying. You hear me? A leverage, something you accumulate over time, either naturally by just growing up and becoming an adult. And as an adult, you develop your own skills. That's how you obtain your leverage. Or you obtain a leverage through illegitimate means, like through violence. That's a common thing in the world to do. For example, if you walk into a supermarket with a loaded gun, that loaded gun you have gives you a temporary leverage over all other people. Unless there are more people there with a gun, then your leverage is not really leverage at all. But if most people there are unarmed and you are skilled with the gun and you enter in, you have a leverage. You can get away with a lot of stuff. You get me? Or let's say that you're part of a gang, and because you're part of the gang, nobody dares to address your bad behavior because they're afraid the gang will come after them. And no, it's a real thing. That gang of yours will come after people criticizing you. That's another leverage you have, but through illegitimate means because it's violence based. And then you have a thing called privilege. Now, privilege and leverage are not the same thing. Okay? A privilege is when people allow you or they're okay with you doing certain things and getting away with it. When a privilege is put on paper in the form of a contract, in the form of legislation, it's called a license. So a privilege when the public around you is okay with you doing something. For example, in United States history, somewhere in the mid 19th century and later, that was the Wild West area. Big portions of the western states of the United States were not well organized by governments. So you had a lot of lawlessness going on. Back then, you had bounty hunters. A bounty hunter is someone who catches criminals just to get the rewards. Now, normally it should be the police that looks for criminals and arrests them. But in the Midwest of the United States, in the middle to the end of the 19th century, it was common for just any random guy to become a bounty hunter. But here's the issue. Just because someone is wanted by the government, by the authorities, doesn't mean they're guilty. You still need to go to trial. And what if you're a bounty hunter and you catch the wrong guy? So things became messed up. So eventually, it became like this. If you wanted to hunt on criminals, you had to register yourself and you got a license to do so. Anywhere you came, you showed the license, people, okay, if we go against this guy, the whole community behind them is going to come after us. So people would leave you alone. So a license is a codified or documented privilege. You don't have the right to chase after people and kidnap them and bring them in. No, that's a privilege that's documented from a license. So do you understand now what a license really means? Do you also understand the difference between a privilege and a leverage? Let me know in the live chat. You know what? Do me a favor. Write in one sentence or two sentences in the live chat what the difference is between a privilege, a leverage, and a license. Please write it down for me in the live chat, please. All of you. I'll give you 1.5 minutes. The difference between privilege, leverage, and a license. I'll wait 1.5 minutes. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Aaron, I'm going to address your questions later on. Well, let me see. I'll ask you guys to write something down in the live chat, just so I can know, so I can estimate if you understood it properly. The difference between privilege, leverage, and a license. Okay, Aaron said it. Okay, you guys are getting there. Okay, I'm going to repeat it all once, then I'm going to continue with the rest of the life. A leverage is an advantage you have over someone else. Likely, you obtain it naturally by just growing up and developing a skill. For example, if you're from Russia, your Russian is your leverage because you're native in Russian. So anywhere people need to deal with Russia, you have the leverage. But if you go to China and you have no knowledge of China, then you have no leverage over there. So a leverage is just you naturally have an advantage over someone else. Privilege when a community allow you to do something, often something you shouldn't be doing. And that's privilege. And a license, and when your privilege is codified in legislation, so in laws or in a contract. Now, why is it important to understand this? Because I'm getting there. I'm getting there. I'm going to share the screen with you now. Hold on. Here. Hold on. Okay. For those that for those that are not in traffic, can you see the screen I've shared? Let me know. Confirm to me in the live chat, please. You can all see it. The screen I'm sharing. Okay. Now, just as always on Wikipedia, they have sources to back it up, so let me just read it. Renting also means hiring or letting is an agreement where a payment is made for the use of a good, service, or property owned by another over a fixed period of time. To maintain such an agreement, a rental agreement or lease is signed to establish the roles and expectations of both the tenant and the landlord. By the way, the term landlord is an abomination. Only Christ is Lord. Okay? He is the Lord means sexual ownership. Only God owns us sexually, nobody else. Landlord suggests that in a certain area, people own you sexually. or you own people's section area. That's not proper. There are many types of leases. The type and terms of a lease are decided by the landlord and, oh my God, or by the real estate agent and agreed upon by the renting tenant. And as you know, renting existed kind of throughout history, but during the Roman Empire, the privileges when it comes to rent were put in law. As I mentioned before, you have a leverage, a privilege, and you have a license. Okay? So in Roman law, you had common rent, which is canon, and you had reditus, solarium, vertical, prensio, and jus superficarium. Those were the types of rents that existed. There are many reasons why people rent, and the main one is that people rent by necessity because they don't have the quote unquote money to actually purchase something. All right, that's the main reason why people rent. Some rent because it's cheaper, but most of people just rent because they have no other option. But okay, here it says the growth of rental industry. Hold on. Rental industry? You mean to tell me that the whole thing of renting is an industry? Just like you have just like you have the prostitution as an industry, you have the entertainment industry. So it's an industry? Yes, it is. All right. So this is really what it comes down to. Okay. In ancient times, renting was only applied to travelers, diplomats, and people that live somewhere short term. Okay. Okay, I want to show you a map, but let me just go over here. Okay, it's a big map here. Okay, let me give an example to you. Let's say you lived in, let's say, Jerusalem over here, and you traveled to, let's look at some place. You traveled to Lugdunum over here, which they call Lyon. If after you arrive on your way from Jerusalem to Lugdunum, today Lyon, you would have to go to a port, take a ship to travel all the way near the Italian shores, all the way to the shores of Gaul, and then you take another ship onto the river, or you travel by land to go over here. That may have taken maybe 2 weeks at its fastest for you to do all of this. 2 weeks, likely 3 weeks, okay? But I say likely because, as you know, you need food supplies. So you leave Judea and somewhere you stop at Crete. When you stop at Crete, you have to stay somewhere. Then you rent for like 2 or 3 days a place. You just stay there short term, then you leave again. Then you rent again over here. And again, till you arrive in Lugdunum. In Lugdunum, if you're there just for a short time because you live in Jerusalem, for maybe like 5 or 6 months you're there, you rent. So renting was there for travelers, and which were often businessmen, and for diplomats. Renting was not the norm for just the common people living there. This is how it went in ancient times, even outside the Roman Empire and before the Roman Empire. If you grew up in a community, you were expected to do labor in the community. For example, in ancient Egypt, you were expected to perform labor. A certain percentage of your time during the year must be spent doing labor in the country. In return, you get housing. And yes, you do get paid, but when you get paid, it's mainly for you to able to afford food and clothes, all this other stuff. And taxes were meant for the farmers or people who did exports. Common people would just pay a local tribute to a local mayor. But national taxes were something for exporters and farmers. Okay, even under Roman rule, there was a tax if you were exporting or you were a farmer, and the common individual just paid a local tribute. That's how it was. Now, over time, this system continued. However, because most people tend to stay local and don't tend to travel that much. If you are someone with a property and you want to rent, and you want to rent it out, you have an issue if not that many travelers. This is something that the quote unquote landlords, I really can't stand the term, real estate agents in, let me go, we're going further in his later history now. Moving to the, hold on, where can I type it in? Okay, here. Kingdom of Ireland, yes. This is something that the quote unquote real estate agents in Britain were facing in the Middle Ages, also afterwards. So, what actually happened? In the 17th century, Ireland was governed as a special province of England because Scotland was an independent country, Wales was incorporated in the Kingdom of England, and Ireland was like an extension of England. That's how it was governed. In 1652, Ireland became a separate country, whilst with the King of England also King of Ireland. So it was all separated. And the majority of the population in Ireland was Catholic. Only a small portion, that means those near Belfast in the north, were Protestant. And England became a Protestant nation under Henry VIII. And you also had the Anglican Church being established also. So as you know, there was a religious conflict between the population of Ireland, which was mostly Catholic, and the Protestant nation of England. Now, with the Catholic Church still having a grip over Ireland, which was also one of the reasons why Ireland became a separate country from England. The Englishmen wanted to make money, had a problem. Because the Irish folks would travel from time to time for England for work, but mainly they were at home. So this is what happened. England wanted to still take advantage of Ireland as if Ireland was not a separate country, but Ireland was a separate country. But it was governed by the King of England. So they began to increase taxes. But guess what? How do you increase taxes? Well, tax already high, and the people don't get much in return. That's a big problem. Okay? So eventually, they came up with a plot. You had those construction workers who were sent from England to Ireland to build certain residential places. And they would say these residential places, you can live in it with your families, but they need to be maintained. So you have to contribute. So they would decrease the taxes in Ireland, but instead they had to pay tribute just to live in a house. And little by little, a big portion of the Irish population fell for this system. So they were in their own country, Ireland, but their king in London, England, instead of increasing taxes, they now had to pay another type of tax called rent. But it wasn't classified as taxes, because once you classify it as taxes, it means you can demand something in return. But because it was classified as just paying tribute to a private owner, if there was a conflict, you had to be with the private owner. But the private owners of those quote unquote houses that were built or residential places, they lived all the way in England. And many of the Irish people did not have the financial means to afford a lawyer or a solicitor to deal with the overseas costs of the court case. And many of the judges in Ireland were installed by the King of England anyway. So if you were an Irishman and you're about to be evicted, but your lives are dominated, I did pay, and you have proof you've paid. But there's a rule you have to be evicted. Well, the quote unquote landlord lives somewhere maybe in Birmingham in England. You never even met the guy. You've only met the enforcer over there. You have to go to court. But in court, well, it's going to get difficult. So this industry of renting is something the English experiment with on Ireland. When things got too complicated, when too much conflicts came out, suddenly the United Kingdom of Ireland with the Kingdom of Great Britain, because in 1707 Scotland and Ireland united, and in 1801 they made Ireland, on the initiative of Protestant politicians in Ireland, they made Ireland part of the Kingdom of Great Britain. It became the United Kingdom. And today, the United Kingdom only has Northern Ireland, because the majority of Ireland left somewhere in the 1920s. Good for them. So so the English, when the British people took over the world's economy in 1826, when the Spanish Empire collapsed and the British Empire began to be dominant worldwide since 1826, this rental industry, they began to enforce it everywhere. They began to enforce it not only on Irish people, but on everywhere. It became the norm. And little by little, worldwide people took over this rental industry. And today, most of us think it's natural that you have to pay rent unless you can buy a house. While in the far past, it was like this. You have a place to stay if you contribute to the local community. And most housings were either organized by the church or were organized by the local elders in the community anyway. When you go, for example, to Korea today, in Korea, in Korea doesn't really have a rental industry. Because for you to rent in Korea as a foreigner is a bit complicated. In Korea, the real estate business is arranged in such a way that you have to be local, or you have to be a Korean citizen to get a housing quickly. So Korea insisted on preserving the housing like it was before the British Empire came with its rental industry. But most places, they went full along with it. So the whole idea of paying rent as a way of life is unnatural, and it even goes against nature and the Heavenly Father. Because just think about it. Let me come with an example to you. If someone would ask you, Rashid, would it be okay to pay rent for breathing fresh air? Would you be able to pay you tax for breathing fresh air? I would say, what? I need to pay you, human beings who need the same fresh air, to breathe fresh air? What the heck? Get out of here. But guess what? We pay taxes for water in the Netherlands. In the Netherlands, there's a certain water tax you have to pay. In other parts of, and besides this, the water tax, you also have to pay a fee to the corporation that arranges the water from the tap. In other countries, I don't know if you have a water tax over there, but you have to pay for water coming out. In the Roman Empire, you had aqueducts built in most places, and aqueducts transported fresh streaming water from the mountains. And everyone had access to them. Whether you were homeless, or you were a rich guy, or a slave, or whatever, everyone had access to drinking water, even public baths, public toilets, all of that. Because hygiene is quite important for the population. And you only paid, I believe, 2 denarius or 2 denarii of taxes each year to enjoy this benefit. Some farmers would have to pay a bit more because they had to irrigate the land, but the water supply was almost for free in ancient Rome. And the ancient Roman Empire covered a big portion of Europe, North Africa, and what they call the Middle East. Today, you have to pay a lot, sometimes even taxes, just to get drinking water, and most of the time it's not even fresh. It's filled with chemicals and all of that. But guess what? We get along with it. Why are we getting along with this? Well, water is the number 1 element on the earth. The number 1 element on the earth is water. You have 70% of Earth's surface covered with water, which are the oceans, seas, lakes, and all of that. You also have water in the sky in the form of clouds. You even have water on the ground in the land, also some underground reservoirs. So how come water is the number 1 element on the earth, and one of the main physical necessities of us human beings? But other human beings with the same necessities charge us for water. This is a bit weird, isn't it? But guess what? If people would tax you or charge you financially to breathe fresh air, you would say, what are you going to do? You're going to suffocate me and kill me? Because if I don't breathe fresh air, I die. you're going to try to kill me if I don't pay it, whatever. So it goes too far. But because I say, well, water has to be transported, water has to be cleansed, so you have to contribute, they come with an excuse why to charge for water. Look, I want you to open your eyes. Charging people for water is an abomination. If you charge them for wine or for beer or for some beverage, okay, that's different. You know what I mean? Because it's not a basic human necessity. You know what I mean? Wine or other liquors or beverages are not a basic human necessity. You can charge them a little bit for that. But for basic water, charging other human beings, I'm sorry, that goes too far. In the Roman Empire, and also later in human history, you had toll roads. Those roads were roads where you had to pay a certain tax just to walk upon it. They still exist till this day. For example, you go to France, certain roads you can't even drive upon without paying a certain fee. You even have them in the state of Texas in the United States. And if you leave without paying the toll, they will charge you a fine. Hold on a minute. As human beings, we need to be able to travel around on the earth. Okay. If you have people building roads, because I'm sure none of you build the roads in your environment. Those roads have been built generations ago. If you say, listen, we all need to use the roads need to be maintained, so please contribute. And you charge people a little amount each year, okay, I can understand that. But you're not going to say, this road is the main road everyone needs, you have to charge them every time they travel the road. What the heck is that? Look, human beings in this time, in this day and age, they tolerate too much stuff. Wow. Now let's continue now. The idea of renting as a lifestyle because you can't afford to just pay for a house. One question, why are the houses so expensive then? If everyone needs a house to stay in, why are the price of houses so expensive? A lot of people can't afford them, now they need to rent. Another question, if the houses are so expensive that the common population can't afford them, that means how come the quote-unquote landlords could afford them? Where do they get the cash from? It's either through privilege, because they inherited the money from their quote-unquote rich ancestors who got it through conquest, so through violence. So the origin of violence anyway. It's either privilege, protected by the government and the police, or they found some sneaky way in order to earn money that most of the population cannot earn in order to afford it. So let me give an example to you. If I live, let's say in Turkey, they used to say Turkey, but the president Erdogan changed the name of the country. Let's say I live in Turkey, okay? Because I live there as a resident, I'm not a citizen of Turkey, as a resident, I'm allowed to vote in the local city elections. Because let's say I'm allowed to vote in local city elections. I'm a foreign resident living in Turkey. If I leave Turkey and go to Poland, do you still think I'm allowed to vote for that city I used to live in before I left? Let me know in the live chat. Do you think I'm allowed to do that? Just let me know. If I live in a state in Turkey and because I'm a resident there, I can allowed to vote and co-decide through voting. If I leave that city and go to another country, do you still think I'm allowed to participate in that voting of that city in Turkey? What do you think? Why do you think I'm not be allowed to do that? Because I'm not there. I'm not participating. How can I decide over something in a city I'm not even there? So I have an impact on people's lives over there. I'm not even there to deal with the consequence of what I'm deciding. People are not going to take it. Look, if you're a Turkish citizen, if you're a Turkish national with a Turkish citizenship, and you are abroad and there's an election of Turkey going on, then you can vote because you are a national of the country and you live abroad. That's different because you still are affected because you're a national of the country. But even then, if you are a citizen of Turkey but you live abroad, there's certain things you're not allowed to do in Turkey because you're still abroad, rightfully so. Okay, I'm. You're gonna understand where I'm heading with this. Remember that I explained between privilege, leverage, and license. Those houses and residential places are being rented. Did the quote unquote landlord build those places with his bare hands? Tell me what you think. Those quote unquote landlords out there, did they build those places with their bare hands themselves by their own sweat? I mean, literally with picking up the rocks, the concrete, the metals, and build all together. Did they do that? Let me know in the live chat. What do you think? Did most quote unquote landlords out there build those places by themselves, by their own physical efforts? What do you think? Let me know. So someone had money that gave them financial leverage and they paid others to do it for them. Okay? But now the building is done. Can they manage the building all by themselves, by their own human strength, physical strength? Can they manage the whole building all by themselves? No, they cannot. They have to pay cleaners to do it. And guess what? That quote unquote, oh my God, the term landlord, that quote unquote real estate agent. I'm going to say real estate agent now instead of landlord because I really can't stand that term. When the real estate agent wants to uh, build such a complex, he needs to go to what? The government to get a license. Why does it need a license from the government? Understand this. Because it's a license, because it's something that's allowed by the public. And they put it in paper just to enforce it. It's all it is. Think about it. That real estate agent that they call a landlord, he was born as a little baby too, with no leverage whatsoever. So he grew up, and somewhere he got the privilege to get the money, because money is run by the government. Governments create the currency. So governments decide where the currency is used. Governments hand over the money to banks, and people that run businesses go to banks, get loans in order to start their business. And all the quote unquote rich folks with money, that money is also from the government. So eventually the money is run by the government. So the money is always biased towards certain people. So this quote unquote landlord, he had the privilege to get a license from the government. That's between him and this organization called the government. Now he wants to take advantage of the human needs of his fellow human beings just to maintain a leverage. Okay? Now, most of these human beings out there are deprived financially. That's why they have to do a 9 to 5, go to work all the time. Why? Because the government doesn't just print the money and hand it over to them. If the government print the money and say, hey, listen, every end of the month you get a bit of cash, use in the community. The government can do that, but they don't. They give the money to the banks. Banks give it to business owners, and business owners say you have to work for me in order to get it. That's how it goes. So the way the money is circulating is biased against the public. That's a violation in itself. And that same government also expects some of the money back in the form of taxes. So now you know the deal. Now you want to participate in the deal by taking advantage of the need of those people to have a place to stay. I'm sorry, you're in a satanic agreement with this thing called the government to take advantage of your fellow human beings. That's why they gave you a license. Because a license is a documented permission from the community to do something and get away with something. No, it goes further. So that agreement alone is satanic. It goes against Heavenly Father. If you build a resort for a holiday, or you build residencies for people who are there temporarily, like sojourners, tourists, or whatever, that's different. But you're not going to take advantage of people long term based on their basic human needs. You're not going to do that. That is wrong. That is evil. And there's no way the Heavenly Father will agree with that. Not even evil spirits will agree with you on doing that. If evil spirit will warn you, don't do this. Well, let's say you go ahead and you apply for your license. And now you either you go to a bank to get the money to buy a building, or you pay them to build the building. That doesn't matter. Now you're just a building there. You can't maintain the building by yourself, but the building is on your name as a title. So it's an entitlement based on a privilege. And now you want to use that entitlement and privilege to take advantage of your fellow human beings. I'm sorry. That's a satanic business you're involved in. If people have no other option and they need a place to stay, they will tolerate signing that lease or that rent contract and pay you the rent. But of course, they're in stress every end of the month to pay you, or else they're evicted, they're homeless. But what if you have a human being who's aware of the spirit world and he thinks, hold on a minute, I'm a human being, I'm native to the earth, so are you. Why am I paying you just to have a place to live? What is this? Yeah, if you don't pay the rent after like 2 or 3 months, they can evict you. They either call the police to get you out because they say you're trespassing. But even if police doesn't come, they can hire some criminals to kick you out. Yeah, sometimes some like quote unquote landlords or say real estate agents do that too. They used to do that in the Netherlands also, but not allowed to do that anymore. So that quote that the ownership of the quote unquote landlord is just a fictional entitlement document on paper called a license. It's not anything real. Because that real estate agent, he was born as a little baby, needing fresh air and water and food just like you. His body will expire one day, he will die one day, and Jesus has to resurrect him. And Jesus owns the earth and everything on it. So Jesus is the real owner of the earth. So he is Lord, not him. Why is this human being, a subject of Christ Jesus, God himself, charging you, a fellow subject, just to be alive on the earth? Who are they to entitle you stress on you as a leverage? Stress that is harmful for your physical health. Why? Because they have an entitlement granted to them not by the Heavenly Father, but by this organization that uses violence called the government. What is this? So let's say you have one tenant who says, hold on a minute, I can't pay rent right now. I'm going to pay rent. I'm going to wait for paying rent, and I'm going to deal other stuff. If you, as a quote-unquote real estate agent, came to harass them, you have to pay rent, or else you're violating their humanity. You've become a perpetrator. Because it's not that they're not willing to contribute to the building. They are, but not yet. If you don't show any leniency towards them at all, you are in violation. Simple as that. If that human being was aware of their rights as a human being, if they fall on their knees and pray to the Heavenly Father, you, the real estate, and you're in trouble. You're going to face heavy repercussions on you. Whether it's whole angelic beings causing you to lose your mind, whether it's you facing dark charges hitting you, you are in trouble. And there is no police, there's no judge in any court, there's no criminal, there's no quote unquote privacy, nothing that can keep you safe from these repercussions hitting you. Or let's say they're not believers, but they're pagan. They can bounce back dark charges back to you, and you end up being haunted in your own house where you're living. Suddenly you can't sleep anymore. Suddenly, every time you eat, you vomit food out. Or suddenly you keep falling up the stairs. You are going to have unrest hitting back at you, because you know why? Anytime anytime you make an agreement against someone, whether you dislike them or hate them, a dark charge is triggered in the earth because of you. Is aimed at, they will feel it. But if that individual counters it not fighting back. If they counter it, the unrest will shoot back at you. So now you call yourself a landlord, saying if you don't pay rent on time, they're going to go out of my house, blah, blah, blah. Now you have health issues haunting you. Now you keep falling off the stairs or keep getting into car accidents. Now you have misfortune plaguing you all the time. Why? And that tenant is still in the quote unquote your house. By the time they leave, you still have to deal with the unrest. I've seen something like this happen. There was a student who for over 6 months didn't pay the rent. He just left after 6 months, and during those 6 months, a quote unquote real estate agent couldn't get him out, not even with the help of the police. It never worked. You know what happened? The real estate agent came to harass the other tenants who did pay rent to get the guy out. And the others think, hold on a minute. If he's not paying rent over here and you are the quote unquote landlord, isn't it onto you, between you and him? Don't you have a contract with him? Aren't we paying our rent over here? Why are you harassing us because he's not paying rent? It became quite ridiculous. Now, I agree. If you live at a place temporarily, pay your tribute. Okay, absolutely. Okay. However, if you're willing to pay the tribute and it doesn't work for a while, a little bit, so what? You're a human being too. Well, this student knew his natural rights as a human, and as a spirit being, he took action against that quote unquote real estate agent, and he saved his money and he left in a better condition. He refused to have a dark charge hitting him and falling under stress. You hear me? So if you decide to have a holiday resort or a restaurant, whatever, you can do that. You hear me? But the moment you begin to take advantage of the basic necessities of people, including necessity to live somewhere, you have become a satanic agent and you have forfeited protection from the Heavenly Father. Do not expect any protection against violence and harm the moment you decide to harm your fellow human beings by taking advantage of them when it comes to the basic needs. Don't do that. That's why most of those real estate agents who have the title landlord are pagans using paranormal charms. And that's why often they give some goodies to their tenants. For example, they will give barbecue parties once a month, or they give them free snacks from time to time. Why are those quote unquote landlords doing this? Because they don't want the tenants to realize their spiritual rights as human beings and use it against them. The quote unquote landlord depends on you not knowing your spiritual rights as a human being to take advantage of you. Because the moment you know your spiritual rights as a human and you practice it according to the word of God, my goodness, he is going to lose. Why? Because the bank still wants to get the loan back. The government still wants the revenue back, and they can't be able to pay it. It's going to be detrimental on them. Look, ownership when it comes to humans is a hoax. But shit, what is theft then? Okay, first of all, every country has their own definition of theft. You get me? But I don't care what countries define as theft. What matters to me is what does the Heavenly Father say theft is. Theft is any time you deprive your fellow human beings of their long-term well-being and long-term safety. Anytime you act in any way or form that deprives your fellow human beings from their long-term well-being and long-term safety, that is theft. Where it is that you take someone's wallet and now they've lost their wallet and they can't buy food, or where it is that you built a factory that pollutes the sky and a lot of people have a hard time breathing over there, according to human laws, you did nothing wrong. You got a license to build a factory from the government, you built the factory. Okay, but now the factory is polluting the environment. You're still a thief. You're still robbing people of their quality of life. So what society says theft is completely different from what the Bible says theft is. You get me? For example, let me give an illustration to you. If I steal from the Netherlands all the way to, let's say it's the 1500s, Brazil as a colony nor country existed. I would sail to South America. I would encounter this rainforest, and I would say, this is my forest. I would claim this is my forest. But you still have animals roaming around the forest. Animals don't even know who I am. They don't even care who I am. And also the natives living there, thinking, who's this weird guy coming from across the ocean claiming his forest? They're not going to take me seriously. If I say, you guys are trespassing, this is my forest, they're going to think me, dude, please go away and leave us alone. But what if I have a gun in my hand? For the moment I have a gun, they will give in to what I want. They will leave. Why? Because they don't want to get hurt by me shooting a gun at them. Thing is, I don't have a gun in my hand all the time. But let's say now I have a gang of like 50 men, all having guns. And those men, 50 men with guns, are there to enforce my claim. Now, the natives will still away from that force because they realize, oh, there are 50 men walking around with weapons over there. It's scary. And now it will appear like it is my forest. And let's say now you have this foreign king of the country validating my claim. That's how it went in colonialism. You get me? So trespassing does not exist. Trespassing is emotional disappointment of someone not giving in to your restriction. That forest is just forest, like a forest everywhere. Just because you say this is my forest doesn't mean it's yours. It's not yours anyway, it's God's. Okay? You did not plant the forest and not even maintain the forest. That will be Father maintain the forest with the rain, the sunshine, all of that. So that forest was maintained by that Father, not even by you. But now you claim it's yours. Now you want to use violence or human beings to validate that stupid claim. That's how it goes amongst mankind. What if a claim is put on paper in form of a license? Then it say, well, it's his private property. It's just a license. But let's say now, I and few friends go out for a barbecue. I mean, barbecue in some park elsewhere. Nobody's going to be bothered by it or by a beach. Let's say people found out Rashid went to a farm and he had the barbecue with a few friends. Going to ask, is it his farm? Did he have permission to be on that farm? If I tell them no permission, I just went to a farm and did that, they're going to say, whoa, you're a criminal, you trespassed. But then they find out the farm has been abandoned for over 50 years. They say, oh, okay. When they heard me and friends went to some, we just went on some farm to barbecue without asking anyone for permission, say, whoa, you're rude, you're a criminal, you need to be arrested. Then they hear, oh, it's been abandoned for 50 years. Oh, no, suddenly not angry anymore. You see what I mean? What's the difference? There is no difference. The only difference is they thought they didn't validate a claim. And because they didn't validate a claim, they thought, oh, you're a bad individual. So understand this, property is not natural. Property is a claim that's covered by violence. That's all it is. And violence is not natural. We're not built for violence, human beings. So violence is illegitimate anyway. So any claim protected by violence is illegitimate. Every claim protected by violence is illegitimate. Whether it's private property or whether it's so-called privacy, everything protected by violence is illegitimate. And if it's illegitimate spiritually, any human being can counter it. That's why society wants you to be so occupied with paying bills, paying rent, and all of that. Why? They want you stressed out most of the time in survival mode, so you don't realize, hold on a minute, I have spirit capacity, spirit abilities as a human being too. Listen, the knowledge I'm sharing with you now is knowledge that they won't teach you anywhere. People with knowledge like this are often warlocks or wizards who want to keep society going. So they withhold this knowledge, only give it to the initiatives those who were initiated in their cause. While me as a believer, I'm sharing it with you openly. Okay, hold on. I want to share something else with you about one moment. By the way, it's all clear to you till now? Let me know in the live chat, please. Hold on. I'm going to the countering very soon, Aaron. One moment. Okay. I'm going to share the screen again. Okay. Let's say you live in, let's say, Nashville over here. All right? Nashville in Tennessee in what we call the United States. Nashville Court of Justice. And I can find the courthouse right now, but anyway. Let's say you live in Nashville, okay? And let's say that you live in Northville, Nashville, over here somewhere. Let's say someone wants to press charge against you. For someone claims that you robbed them, or someone claims that you raped them, whatever. Let's say anyone has claims you violated them. They just claim it. There's no proof. But now they want to sue you, press charges against you. They would have to go to the police to file a report. Okay? And the police will have to bring it to the courthouse. And it's only when the courthouse decides, okay, the charge legit, they come after you. But here's the thing: the individual that's an issue with you already is emitting negativity out of the energy fields towards you. They're already already triggering dark shocks against you in Earth's atmosphere. When they're walking towards the police station to do the report, there's effort in negativity. That's going to give more shocks towards you. Once the courthouse validates the claim, now an extra shock is released in the Earth's atmosphere. Now, when this individual turns on you and begin to emit this shock towards you, you will feel it in your body. If you're within 20 kilometers, you'll feel it immediately, especially within 10 kilometers. If it's further away, it'll be a bit more delayed. Okay? But let's say now that someone within 10 or 20 kilometers wants to sue you. The moment they decide they're going to sue you, there's already a dark charge coming out of them towards you in the Earth's atmosphere. You may be in your house vacuum cleaning or washing dishes, and suddenly you feel this weirdness. You feel this weird shock in your body, or you suddenly get very tired. You experience some physical symptom because of it. The moment you experience that symptom, you have to counter it immediately by singing praises, by being extra joyful, and by commanding the earth in your favor with decrees and declarations. Because let's say someone wants to press charge against you. I don't care what type of charge it is, whether it's for theft or a sex crime, whatever it is. The moment they put in their head to do this, to have this agreement against you, they're already giving off negative into Earth's atmosphere. You get me? While they're acting on this agreement, they keep releasing shocks towards you. If you just brush it off, thinking, man, I just feel a bit tired, let me lay down a little bit, they press the charge. Before you know it, you have the police officers arresting you. You have to go to court. Or they arrest you and put you in detention, all of that. What happens if later appears you're innocent? You still spend days in jail, you can't get back because you couldn't go to work, so you couldn't pay rent, you more likely are evicted from your house because you couldn't pay rent, anything like that. Now you're homeless. The individual press charges lost because there was no proof. But guess what? They messed up your life, and that was the purpose. So what do? The moment you feel some symptom in your body or just in your energy field that something is off, you counter it immediately. Let's say you have John. John lives over here, and Frank and Lisa, who lives down here, wants to press charges against John. Lisa has issues against John. Okay? Lisa stopped dating John a while ago, but Lisa feels angry towards John, and Lisa wants to get John back. Now Lisa is claiming that John abused her during their courtship, blah, blah, blah. Lisa having those issues against John already causes psychic violence onto John. If John is continuously countering the psychic violence, Lisa won't even have the strength to think of pressing charges against him. But let's say John brushed all off and puts up with it. At some point, she'll feel motivated to continue thinking negative about John, and she'll end up pressing charges against him. But let's say now Lisa suddenly turns against John and decides, "Oh, I'm going to take action against John." When John picks up in his body, something's off, and he counters it with being extra joyful, with commanding only good things on himself, with affirmation, all of that, what's going to happen? Lisa over here is going to face a lot of backlash. Lisa's going to face hardship sleeping. She's going to face difficulty walking around. She's going to face a lot of physical and psychic difficulties. And she will forget completely about pressing that charge against John. And if she insists on going to the police station, at the police station will malfunction. If she presses through to get a charge at the courthouse, the judge may decide we're not going to do this case because this is way too difficult. Or even if the judge agrees with it, will face repercussions in his daily life. You get me? So if someone wants to press charges against you, they involve the police, they involve the courthouse, they involve many people in the charge against you. If you are countering their intention from the moment you feel it in your body, that charge is either going to fail or it's going to embarrass them, and you're safe. But a lot of people don't know this. So when they feel off at home or at work, wherever they are, they brushed off or they take some pill to kill off the painkiller or they take some extra sleep. And before you know it, behind the scenes, people are working against you. And once they've done work against you, now you have a whole force ready to arrest you, do all type of stuff with you. And now if they manage to capture you and put you in that jail, it will take a lot of effort to get you out, if you ever get out. You gotta be ahead of that. Just counter the dark charge ahead of time, simple as that. And that's why courthouses are always strategic located in the community within a radius of 20 kilometers. That's why. Because a courthouse in St. Louis charges someone all the way in New Haven in the state of Connecticut. I'm sorry, but if someone press charge against you over here, you're way over there, the country have a grip on you with the darkness. You have to be close by. So they will have to transfer the case to a courthouse in New Haven, and they will enforce the charge. It's all energetic knowledge. So now you know why society doesn't want you to know about your spirit abilities. I'm not sharing this information for you to take advantage of it at the expense of other people. No, just know when you're 15 years and older, nobody can just come and grab you, kidnap you, or evict you, or charge you, or arrest you just like that. You have to be in a dark charge too, for their darkness to be able to affect you. If someone is a child molester on the loose, that means they're full negativity, then of course the police can go with officers and arrest them and do all of that, or criminals can get to them because they're all in negativity. But if you're operating in positivity, I'm sorry. And if you also operate in positivity and you counter with your attitude, so anytime you feel a bit off, you counter it with being joyful, decrease declares, decrease declarations, all of that. If you do that, even as an unbeliever, I'm telling you, people can't even succeed shooting you with a gun. Let me tell you why. The individual holding the gun is a human being. He needs to have the intention to shoot, which is negative. If his thought to shoot you alone backfires on him within 1 second, and if his body gets cramps, he's going to have a hard time aiming the gun at you and shoot you. But a lot of people say, man, I need to have a gun too, or I need to wear a bulletproof vest. That's coping with the danger. You have to be ahead of the danger. Any negative charge must backfire immediately and swiftly. When that happens, no physical weapon can succeed against you. You hear me? Because the one with the weapon has to use it on you. But the motivation to use it already releases negativity from them. And if you counter that negative energetic stream, guess what? You're ahead of the physical violence, ahead of physical danger. Society only has physical danger and physical harm they can use on you as collateral to make you do what they want. Society can only use violence on you for you to comply with the quote-unquote laws. If you can counter violence at the root on an energetic level, they have a hard time forcing laws onto you. They have a hard time, law enforcement has a very hard time with you if you have this knowledge. Well, I'm sharing it with you right now. I'm sharing it with you right now. Church won't tell you this because church is part of the beast system. That's why. But guess what? This knowledge only works if you are not in negativity. If you dislike people or you hold on to boundaries, respect, or type of narcissistic concepts, then this knowledge won't benefit you, because how can you counter dark charges if you are operating a dark charge yourself? How can you counter a dark charge on you if you're the one operating in dark charges yourself? It's not going to work. That's why pagans have a hard time in acting this knowledge. Well, some do, because they're a bit more positively minded. Even they have difficulty with it because they're still in toxicity, still in worldly restrictions. Believers are able to counter any danger against them. That's why Jesus told us, I give you power to trample on scorpions and serpents and the whole camp of the enemy, and none shall by no means hurt you. Nothing shall by no means hurt you. That is only the outcome for you, believer, when you walk in the resurrection power and apply all the spirit knowledge needed to do so. Amen? So human ownership is a hoax. Okay? Listen, criminals who are inexperienced use their bare hands for shoplifting. And they often come with guns or knives just to shoplift. Criminals of low rank, they need to walk by you to snatch your wallet and run away. And if you don't run away on time, you can catch them and they're arrested. But experienced criminals who know about spiritual knowledge, they just cast spells on you. And you end up losing your wallet somewhere. And they just find the wallet out of the blue, take the money out of it. Or let's say you have a warlock and you just want to get some money off your pocket. He will just make up some cheap product to sell, and he will use spells, trigger things in the public. People end up dropping money at his shop to get the product, and he gets money out of people's pocket. And let you think, why did we buy this? Listen, if till age 15, anyone can almost do anything with you. After age 15, as a human being, you have the ability spiritually to counter things. Nobody should be able to just act out against you anyway. This whole idea of putting boundaries is coping with what goes on. And the coping will backfire on you. Self-defense and boundaries backfire on you. You have to spiritually counter things. It's weird. Churches should be teaching you to spiritually counter things. They don't. Instead, they also teach boundaries and standing up for yourself and all that other stuff. When you know how to spiritually counter dark charges, I'm telling you, you'll be able to get away with a lot in daily life. And people won't even notice it in the start. Eventually, people will notice, hold on a minute, how did this woman was able to say all those things, give her opinion all the time, even when nobody asked her opinion and nobody did anything towards her? How come this guy was able to live rent-free over there, and the quote-unquote landlord even noticed he was there? They totally forgot about him. How come this guy was able to get a license and he's not even qualified according to the requirements? When you know how to counter dark charges, you gain more options in life. People think you need to have money to have more options in life. Money is just a tool to pay for transactions. But if you have no spiritual leverage in daily life, money will be of no use to you at all. As a matter of fact, the guy down the street can be a millionaire. If he is a millionaire lacks spiritual knowledge, about just spiritual knowledge, you can empty his wallet without him being aware of it. Let's say you want to go on an expensive holiday to, let's say, the Fiji Islands. If you use spiritual knowledge, you can trick him even to hand you over the money, and he doesn't even know why he gave you the money. And once he has given you the money, he can't ask it back because he gave it to you. If you would break into his bank account through hacking and transfer the money to your account, people say, oh, that's hacking. Or you broke the law. Not police comes to arrest you. Or if you would jump on him and take his wallet, people say, whoa, that's a crime. But if you trick him to hand over the money to you, guess what? You got the money now. You can go on your vacation. If he lacks spiritual understanding, anyone can get his money out of his pocket easily. Listen, spiritual knowledge or energetic intelligence, when people develop energetic intelligence and use it, my God, it's very hard to stop them. Sometimes impossible to stop them because they'll be ahead of you every time. And that's how I operate in daily life, using energetic intelligence. All right? Are there any questions about this topic now? Let me know in the live chat, please. Let me know. Just know, if you still hold on to privacy, private lives, boundaries, personal space, property, uh, and, uh, uh, and all those respect, all those world restrictions, then energetic intelligence won't benefit you because you are sabotaging yourself by holding on to those mental restrictions. You have to give up all those mental restrictions, all those toxic claims, so that you can freely operate in energy flows. Yes, it can happen. Negative energy and tongue can attract people from the world who are negative. Absolutely. Listen, stop telling yourself, I can't afford it when it comes to finances. Ask yourself, how can I afford it? Then realize, oh, energetic intelligence, I can trigger things in my favor. Let me start experimenting with that. Start experimenting and training your energetic intelligence in practice. Practice in daily life. See, you're going to see things working in your favor much quicker. But here's the thing, you have to do it under the guidance of the Holy Spirit. Because if you do it without the guidance of the Holy Spirit, you may get yourself in trouble. Pagans end up using the aid of demons to have a protection bubble around them. Because if you begin to use energetic intelligence, you automatically gain a leverage over people around you. And a lot of people don't want that to happen. So they're going to start fighting you, becoming violent towards you. So that's why you need a cover. Now, pagans get their paranormal cover from the fallen angels. Believers should operate in the resurrection power of Christ, so they're covered by the Holy Spirit. All right? Any other questions? Oh, and by the way, most people in the world, they hold on to boundaries, privacy, private lives, private property, blah, blah, blah. They hold on to all those restrictions anyway. So it's not even possible for them to counter dark charges. So if they have if they have issues against you, you can even use their own issue they have against you to gain a leverage over them. Once you know energetic intelligence, you'll give up a lot of those stupid entitlements of the world that don't benefit you at all. Self-defense, privacy, private lives, private property, personal space, all those things are toxic restrictions that won't benefit you. Once you know energetic intelligence, you'll realize all that is fiction. Listen, we are supposed to use our leverage over other people for their benefit. Of course, you can benefit yourself with a leverage, but it shouldn't be that you exclusively benefit yourself at the expense of other people. So use energetic intelligence in a wise way, please. But understand it's an option. You don't have to exist to pay bills and then you die. It's written in the book of Daniel. I believe chapter 7, I believe. It says that the saints will take the kingdom on earth. John the Baptist said that the kingdom of God suffers violence and the violent take it by force. You have violent people seeking to restrict believers all the time. And they do it by force. They restrict believers, either through false doctrines in church or by the police force and all of that. They do it. So the saints have to take it by force, using spiritual force on the public around you. That's what you do. Once you use spiritual force on the physical, it will work out easily for you. This is what some criminals do, and they are able to get money easily. And that's why they often aren't even classified as criminals, because they don't have to do the physical act themselves. It just works out for them. Anyway, invest in knowing what energetic intelligence. It will benefit you. Well, thank you all for being here. Keep on increasing Christ, and see you next live stream. God is good all the time. Shalom.